Rapid Fire Manufacturing. I'm with Danny White, owner of DW Machine. Danny, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
So I want to start off. I know last time we had lunch, you got into your story of how you got into manufacturing. Could you walk the audience through that?
Yeah, so I kind of been like a tinkerer my whole life, I guess. Like that's the way I like to explain it. Growing up, my dad has held several positions in machine shops, starting with machinists. So like as far back as I can remember, we had a lathe and a Bridgeport in our garage, 6 years old. So my dad kind of taught me, the basics of that. I think I was the only 8-year-old that knew how to square up a vise and read micrometers and stuff like that. And it was all of my hobbies as a kid kind of revolved around me thinking I could build my own stuff. I started racing four-wheelers, probably 14, 15 years old. I started doing my own powder coating, started making some of my own little bracketry and stuff like that. One day I mentioned to my dad that I want to buy a CNC machine and learn how to do that. And so I could build nicer stuff, more advanced stuff. So he was on board. He loved it. So I bought an old Haas VF2. And I think shortly after I had a buddy from high school that approached me that wanted to start his own business making aftermarket automotive stuff. So I started making stuff for him, and it kind of just grew exponentially from there as I started trying to job shop myself to get better machinery, mostly because I'm just a nerd and I want to play with stuff like this. And 10 years later, here I am, I guess.
And how many machines sold then?
So this is my fourth one. I guess if you count my saw, that's 5
machines. And are you working solo?
Yeah, just me.
So that, to me, that's the American dream. It's literally get after it and make your own living.
Yeah. I like it. It's like I saw a saying somewhere that's if you don't want to work 40 hours for somebody else, you could work 80 hours for yourself. And that's pretty true for the first, couple of years. It's true, but it's fun now. The amount of people I meet and the things I see and the projects I see going on. And then, my freedom that I work by myself, I could do whatever I want, Yeah, it's awesome.
What do you think has been the best learning that you've done? Like, has it been through just your dad teaching you, or did you find like a forum online where you really got to dig in?
So I think starting out was my dad taught me a lot of basics. And then when I was in high school, I got a job at a machine shop 2 miles from my house, and it was all manual machines. We built die shoes and die sets and stuff. So that guy was it was just me, one other guy that I grew up with. He's the one that got me the job, and the owner. So it was almost like an internship or an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Except I got paid for it. It wasn't formal.
Sweet.
He taught me a lot of tool and die stuff. He was a tool and die maker that started his own business, kind of like me. So I learned a ton about machining, a lot of the little intricate things that you wouldn't pick up on your own unless someone showed you. Maybe some people do, but
that's really cool.
So that kind of accelerated it. And then, I went to engineering school, wanted to be an engineer. I thought that was the next logical progression.
Yeah.
Went to engineering school, did engineering for a while, and got a lot of context there. That I think, so I was a design engineer for a while. Then I moved into manufacturing engineer because that's more my niche is, making the stuff. And I think that really helped me understand design for manufacturing. So I make a little bit of my own products too. And it's nice to have that skill set to where how to make this part. So you take that into consideration from the initial concept all the way through.
See, that's always been the thing I've always wondered, how do you get that knowledge, right? One thing if you're just reading prints and you're able to machine, but actually designing your own stuff from start to finish.
I think it's just experience. I think you have to have a talent for it. Just like every high level job, you have to have a talent for it somewhat. But I think just the more experience you have, and for me, I make my own stuff. So it's like when I go out to the machine, if there is something that I don't like, you know, I can go change it, but I also log that in my memory that like, hey, this didn't really work that well, or this doesn't really look that great, you know, because I make consumer products, like they have to function, but they also have to look pretty good, you know. So I think it's just experience. And I think machining in general, or CNC machining, for me, I've just picked up a lot of skills, just straight experience, you know, and I think there's no replacement for that.
And you think part of that too is being able to experiment with your own stuff? Like,
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've done stuff for your car, like design stuff.
Absolutely.
Like having the freedom to experiment.
Yeah. So I think it's like the fact that I own my own machine, that I could just walk out here and make it whenever I want. I don't have to pay somebody else or be by somebody else's timeline. It also helps that like I have friends that also have like, I don't want to say wild hobbies, but like they're race cars, motorcycle type guys. So like I get to experiment on their stuff too. So like, it helps a lot having your own stuff to make.
Probably dangerous too, because you're like, man, I can spend a lot of time on my own stuff right now.
It's cool. Like I do get in the like, is it worthwhile to just buy this component, or should I just make it myself? You know, because like there's a lot of little stuff like bolts and stuff like that like you could buy pretty cheap. So like I do fight that battle quite a bit. So
I can make it, but do I?
It's like I'm going to spend 2 hours making this bolt, or I could just buy the correct one for, you know, I'll get 50 of them from McMaster Car for $5.
Yeah.
You know,
it's probably something like initially you're like, I'm definitely going to do this. And then as time goes, you're like, you know what? I've already done that. I don't need to do it.
Or like now I try to spend my time doing like the more advanced stuff, like, you know, the stuff that you can't buy, or the stuff I don't want to buy, because either I'm going to make it different or I want to make it nicer, you know, and then I just try to mitigate all the little tasks like that are, you know, time consuming, pain in the ass type stuff.
Now, what would you say has been your most difficult projects? I know you can't get into details, but
I think a lot of it for me is like exotic materials. Like I get requests for exotic materials a lot, and just like general machining of that stuff is pretty tough. You know, it just is what it is. I think like for me, I fight a volume issue a lot, or a capacity issue is probably a better way to say it. Is like, it doesn't take a lot for me to be extremely busy, because I only have 4 machines and I'm only one guy. So like my schedule is real like hard to bounce around sometimes. So I think that's the biggest battle I fight currently.
Timing things up has got to be, because you're like, all right, I need to set something up on this machine now, this machine, and then if you're bouncing in between them all.
It's a weird day when like they're all 3 or all 4 machines need to be set up. So like you have to like take the priority. What's good is like now I have some level of automation in here, like bar feeders, and like the robot is starting to fill up. So like I can set up the robot, or like a lot of what's on the robot now is repeat projects. So all I have to do is swap the pallets and hit go. So that buys me, you know, for many hours the pallets are able to run for. And like same with this is like, I just finished an order of like 600 parts on this thing. It ran for like 2 days straight, like overnight. So like I just come in, make sure it's not on fire, you know, do a quality check again and make sure, no, nothing's changed, nothing's broken, whatever. And then I just go on to something else.
And for those of you watching, he just got this machine recently and has already put thousands of parts through.
I think I have to set it up again this morning, but I think it was like 1,260 something is what the part count was.
That's awesome.
Like 2-3 weeks, I think I've had it now.
It's got to feel pretty good.
It's wild. It's great. Like, it's wild to me that I've reached this level to where I own something like this that like runs itself pretty much. Once you set it up, it runs itself. It's fantastic.
Would you say someone just getting, you know, starting a machine shop, they more than likely have some experience, would the number one thing to do is figure out how to get some sort of level of autonomy?
I think it depends what your end goal is. So like if you want to make one-off car parts or whatever it is, one-off 5.0 stuff, I think automation, if it's like an integrated thing that you can buy like off the shelf, like the DN has the pallet changers. Now Haas has pallet changers and stuff like that, to where you don't have to do a lot of setup yourself for the automation. You just like populate the pallets. I think that is a good idea, because then you can have different work holding on each pallet. So if you could change and do another quick setup on something else, if your goal is to try to own a high end or a high volume, you know, manufacturer, I would say that would be my number 2 priority, right next to finding a machine to make sure that that is also going to run all the time, as far as chip control, reliability, stuff like that. I think it just depends on what your goal is.
I know, especially nowadays, finding people has been extremely challenging. So if you're starting a shop, in order to not have to hire people, then you can set various levels of autonomy. Yeah, that's cool. As far as the industry right now, what have you kind of seen? Like any trends from your perspective?
Automation is vastly growing for that reason. I think we always talk about the skills gap, and, you know, we have a lot of open jobs. So I think automation is huge. I went to PMTS in Cleveland, and like every booth had some sort of automation set up there. I just think like we're just like, even 5, maybe 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of small shops like mine with 5-axis machines, or like the twin spindle lathes with Y-axis, stuff like that. Like that was kind of like the bigger, more advanced shops, aerospace shops, you know, stuff like that. And now it's almost like every shop that I go in has something similar to that. Everybody's growing in technology. I mean, I guess we have to, like, that's the natural progression of it. But it's just like, and then the other thing I noticed too is like, now that like Fusion 360 is out there, it gives a lot more people access to a CAD CAM program without having to spend, you know, $6,000 or $10,000. So like, I see a lot of little shops, you know, getting fired up with like a mini mill in their garage that they make crazy parts off of for like a pretty small budget. Like that seems to be, you know, growing, because it's easier now. It's not, you know, $150,000 buy-in. It kind of sucks because some of those guys are my competition now, but you know, I love to see it. Like, it's cool to see, you know, again, like that's the American dream. So it's cool to see, but yeah, it's just a lot of technology out there.
I just watched something recently with the mini lathes too. This guy's just like part-time job. Just running a mini lathe at his house. It's cool to see the technologies change where people can do stuff.
It's what's cool about that too is like, I feel like that gets people interested in that. Like my dad having a lathe in the Bridgeport in the garage. Like, I can't imagine where I would be if I didn't have that exposure at a young age. Would I still be here? I don't know. But if you had people, you know, that have mills in their garage and then their kids are out there interested in it.
Was this he owned these? Like, it wasn't for his company?
No, he owned them. So he had one of the places he worked at was like they did repair work on big valves and stuff. So they had like this small lathe and this Bridgeport that they didn't really use that much. And I don't know if my dad approached him to like buy it off of him or how it ended up working out. But the guy was like, you know what, we don't use this anymore. Like, it's in the way. If you can figure out how to get it out of here and get it to wherever you want to put it at, you can have it. So I remember he came home with it. Like, we had it on like a dump trailer and just rolled it off there, and there it lived.
And you were 16 when you got your Haas?
Yeah, I was 16 or 18. I think I just entered college. It was like my first semester of college. So I had to be 18, 19, somewhere in there.
And he was like, yeah, you can.
Oh, he loved it. He thought it was great. I'd be out there, you know, like tweaking and stuff and running parts, and he'd be peeking over my shoulder, you know.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild because like he was a machinist, like, you know, probably 50 years ago, 45 years ago, where like it was all manual boring mills and stuff like that that he worked on. And now it's like he comes in here and sees all this and he just loves it. Like, that's a guy who's seen a lot of stuff change over the years. And now he comes in here and sees, like, I like to think is pretty high end stuff. It's cool to see.
For sure. I think the first time I was in here, you mentioned practical machinists. I wanted to see from your perspective, has that been a good form for you to ask?
I think it's great. I visit there like at least once a day. There's like, I always look at the new posts, but like there's certain posts I scan through because it's like, what I love about that is for one, you can get advice, or like, you know, if I'm looking at a machine, I always go on there to see if like people have reviews on it, what they think about it, because like a lot of those guys don't hold back. So you get like a real answer. But I also think it's cool because there's people on there from like all walks of manufacturing. Like there's, you know, a guy that has a couple hydro mats that's making extremely high volume stuff. And then there's, you know, just really high end 5-axis aerospace guys on there. It's just, I love it. I think it's fantastic, you know, and like the videos they make too, like Ian, like makes those. Yeah, I think those are great. Like that is one of those things in my mind that like, if we're going to get people excited about manufacturing, or even just like expand the exposure that like this is now modern manufacturing, those guys are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, there's Ian and Joshua Windrick. So Ian was one of the guys that really kind of pulled me into machining, watching his videos. But yeah, I was curious about the forum because it reminds me of like racing and car forums have that, where you go in and you're like, hey, I'm doing this with my vehicle. What's the best way to change a strut or whatever? And you get all these people giving sweet advice.
Yeah,
you know?
It's exactly the same. That's why I think it's cool. Is you're like, hey, what do you think of these collet chucks? Or can I put this end mill in this collet chuck with 3 inches of stick out? And then it's an hour later, you got 20 replies. Yeah, it's cool. Like it's a fantastic resource for me, I guess. It's like, I don't know, being a millennial, I think the internet age is like everything I see on the internet, or like the internet in general, is a great resource. One of them is like that YouTube.
100%.
For me is like, you know, I learned so much there, and, you know, troubleshoot a lot of stuff on both of those.
I think, I'm curious what the stats are on millennials for that too, because I'm a millennial as well. And I feel like most of the stuff I've learned has come from just YouTube.
Absolutely. Things like my girlfriend's got a Volkswagen. It's got a TDI in it, and like we had to do some work on it. And it's like there's some guy that made a YouTube video of the exact thing that we needed to work on. And I'm like, if this video wasn't here, like I would have struggled pretty hard with this. You know, so it's just like
there's always one guy out there that literally has the same thing, and you're like, yes, this is what I need.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's a great resource.
For sure. As far as, I guess, the future of manufacturing, have you talked with other machine shop owners? How do people feel right now? I know it's kind of a weird time with tariffs and stuff.
Yeah. It's like the people I talk to, like, I don't have a huge circle, I guess, but like some people are like kind of slow, really slow. And then there's other people that are just like, there was no slowdown. Yeah. Like they're just really busy. So like for me, I do work for a company that is based in Germany, but they have like a USA division, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And they are starting to ramp up manufacturing over here because of the tariffs. So like in that aspect, it's helped me quite a bit. Right. Now it's like one of my biggest customers. But like other people, like material, I buy a lot of standard material, aluminum 1018 and stuff like that. But I feel like if you are buying some of the exotic material, you know, maybe it's more expensive because it used to come from overseas, and like we don't have a supply chain here for that yet. So like, yeah, it's real weird. It's weird times in general because it's like everybody's kind of on edge, and I feel like it's been that way. Like it was like that during COVID, and then it kind of went away for a little bit, and now it's back again because of just like tariffs for one, and it just the state of manufacturing in general. And it's just weird. I don't know.
I'm checking this real quick. Good. Had to reset it. Because it's a camera, every 30 minutes it resets. We're about to be done anyway, so I guess final couple remarks. If you could go back into time, give yourself some advice before starting your shop, what would that be?
Do it. No, I think for one, I think my biggest hindsight 2020 moment is the order of machines. Like how I bought my machines, I would change them. Like I would have bought a new mill and a robot way before I bought anything else. You know, like that would have been, because like now that I have it, I realized what an asset that could have been 8 years ago. I probably wouldn't have quit my day job. I probably would have stayed at my day job for maybe another year, just to, you know, try to save more money. And I say that like I like to think it all worked out, you know, because I am here and like I'm pretty happy with where I am. Yeah, I probably would have stayed at my day job for a little bit, saved a little more money, you know, had a bigger safety net. And like I think of that now because like I had pretty rapid growth to where like, you know, spending money to buy new machinery because I needed it was also very, very scary. Like you're writing the biggest checks I've ever written in my life, you know? So it's like, you know,
you're not getting that return until
and it's
a
like,
while.
Like you get to a point to where, you know, if things go south, like I can't get a job that makes enough money to pay my bills. So like I have to do this regardless of what happens, which is very scary. But I would say, you know, I still would have did it probably. Just go for it. Don't be scared, you know. And now I think is like ignorance is bliss. Is like I didn't really know what failure looked like there, so I just kept driving with my foot on the gas and whatever. Yeah, would have saved more money, bought machines in different order. Maybe bought a building, like my own building first, you know, and then went from there. But you know, like I said, hindsight's
So I appreciate you sharing your story. For those watching, where could they reach out to you for more information on, you know, what kind of jobs are you running so that, you know, potentially get contacted about that?
You can visit my website is dw-machine.com. All my contact info is on there. You can find me on Instagram, DW Machine. I don't post a ton on LinkedIn, but I am pretty active on there, so you can contact me on there. I think it's either Danny or Daniel White. I think it's Danny White. Yeah, reach out to me.
Danny, appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely
awesome.